the mind produces all these thoughts all the time, right? And when you meditate, you're aware of these thoughts that come and go. Does it matter at all to whether you forget these thoughts or you remember them?
During the meditation, we have to transcend these thoughts, whether it is a good, bad, high, low thoughts. We are meditating, we are not thinking. So it doesn't matter whether you forget these thoughts or they simply transcend your mind.
Thank you.
Yes, related to that, Charlie asked one question, and I said, let me take a little diversion to talk about that. So I made a title, Are We Suffering Every Day, Every Hour, Every Minute, and Every Second? We have a new normal in our life. We are always suffering, but we don't know we are. We live in a new normal in a society. That is why modern science says it is an age of anxiety. It is the age of stress. It is the age of suffering. From the children 5 years old and above, they all know I have a stress. I have some form of anxiety. So here is Charlie has also joined. So without the purity of the mind, I cannot have any spiritual growth. Make it right in your head. If the purity of the mind is not there, the spiritual growth is. What do you mean by the spiritual progress? It means I know my real self and I think, speak, and act in my personal, professional, social, family lives with that presence of the real self in peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Make it very simple. Don't think the spirituality is some mystical phenomena and that cannot be verified and validated. Everything is validated in the East and West. Because of the purity of the mind, I am able to perform my action, which is not binding to me. And that binding action comes from what, Sophie, you asked, from the thoughts that is going on in my head. Even there are tendencies. What do you mean by the tendencies? Before the thought, you have some spur, some trigger in the form of a sensation. So those tendencies translates into action, and those tendencies contain the impurity of the mind. The main culprit is ego. We are going to talk about that ego and the expectations from the people, from the world, from the situation outside. So, can we now, what is the opposite of it? Can I maintain the state of equanimity in the mind? And if I'm able to maintain the equanimity of the mind, I'm able to have that reflection of the real self in me. So today we are going to talk. Sorry. Are we suffering every day, every hour, every minute, and every second? I saw the Sophie nodded her head no. So we have to understand first what exactly is suffering before we not say yes or no. It's a profound journey, profound understanding. Daily. Now think of the daily. Daily I wake up itself, the moment I wake up, there is an onslaught of suffering. What is that? Reluctance to get up. That is also suffering, but we don't take it. We take it lightly. Dullness, heavy limbs, comparisons and stories about yesterday or tomorrow, the thought passes by. Judgmental attitude towards weather. Ah, I don't want to go outside. We take it normal. We are living, we have made our stress and anxiety, duality, and a conflict perfectly normal in our life. These are the tendencies which reflect in the thought daily. Daily, I can also add lot of things. Judgmental attitude towards weather, people, food, getting lost in the loops of repetitive thought and drives. Oh no, I have to wake up. I have to get ready. So I was already busy in thoughts, tendencies. We think that it is not. It has nothing to do with the suffering. Ultimately, they will translate into actions and behavior. Ah, so when minor annoyances and disappointments accumulate into irritation, did it not happen? Very minor. By feeling mental and physical exhaustion doing routine tasks, from witnessing the seemingly endless problems in the world around us. That is what I just gave a picture of daily. What about hourly? Every hour mind starts feeling afflicted. How? A desire arises for distraction. Like and dislike for a current work. Creeps. Constant checking of time signals impatience. I'm constantly checking my phone. As if phone is a living being, he is addressing me. Focus gets disrupted by tiring mind body disease, and fatigue sets, leading to irritability. You have a fatigue. Ultimately, if someone says something, no, I'm not ready to. Sluggishness. This is also another way to understand that we are already suffering. How we take it so easy. Let us have a strong coffee. Fatigue will go. So that tendency sets in the mind. And ultimately, we become habitual and addictive. That addiction and that obsession is also suffering. We are going little deeper. It is not so easy. We suffer every minute. We suffer every minute. Can I stay you? Can I ask you to don't move your body for a minute? Mind is already agitated just by making that statement. But how? What the heck you are? How dare you say that? This is my choice. Every minute, with every in and out of the breath, there is some degree of suffering, a twinge of anxiety, momentary craving, frustration over a passing thought, suppressed sadness. Oh no, I have to attend the session, so I'll keep smiling. You have suppressed the sadness. Tell me if it is not true. Tell me. You cannot dare to be sad before me. So, anyhow, let me put a cosmetic of the smile. Boredom, slight aches or pains in the body, judgment of someone we meet, checking notifications compulsively despite dissatisfaction. I'm talking of one every minute to minute. This is what happens to us. And we are saying we are not suffering. I'm very happy. Really? You're happy. That suffering, which includes stress or anxiety, tendencies, is more pervasive than we recognize. We don't recognize. because it runs silently underneath the surface activities of my life. How many of you are feeling little sense of discomfort in the body listening to me? Suffering is there. Don't tell me that you are not suffering. But we have made it a new norm. So now understand that there are three main factors of the suffering. All these suffering, all these tendencies of these thoughts, I feel disturbed in the morning, I'm happy in the evening, I'm unhappy later in the night. Suffering is three factors. First factor, we say the impurities in the mind, emotional turbulence, constant desire in the mind in the form of a thought, feeling, and emotions, craving, reactions, suppression, they all are the impurities of the mind. That we experience as suffering are manifestations of the impurities and the toxins that have accumulated in the mind for years. Anger and greed and reaction are all impurities. We call them a disease at a very beginning level. Impurities, unwholesome latent tendencies, anger, greed, attachment are the forms of impurities. Three factors. First factor is the impurities of the mind. Second factor, because of the impurities of the mind, the mental state of restlessness that makes the focus difficult, the constant jumping from the task to task, person to person, inability to sit silently, originate from the second level of problem in the mind, that is what is known as distraction. I have strong likes and dislikes, the mind will definitely be distracted because those tendencies are already present in the mind. All the suffering has three factors. First is the impurity of the mind. Second is, you can normally say, lack of discernment. I am judgmental all the time and I lack discernment. Confusion is there. Intellectual dullness is there. Comes from the second factor. I'm not aware and alert all the time. Did I make the right statement? I'm not aware and alert all the time. So after this session, I will go back. My tendencies will take over me, and then I will feel totally different person. In a session, we are a different person. After and before the session, we are totally different. It is because we are already suffering. We think that if some major event should take place, someone dies, then only. No, we have made our mind to suffer. Attention deficit. We say attention deficit order. We have the attention deficit. Because my mind darts from one thought to the other. Distraction to distraction. That is why we say that I have a lot of thoughts. Second factor. Third factor is known as the avidya, the ignorance. First is the impurity, second is the distraction. Why the mind is distracted? Because of the impurities in the mind. So second factor is distraction. Third is the ignorance. The root cause of all the suffering is ignorance. What is ignorance? False assumption about myself. Wrong notion about myself. I am so beautiful, nobody is noticing me. False assumption. Oh, for example, there are, we are only two, me and John, so more women are there. So Nobody, I spent 2 hours before the mirror joining the party. Nobody is taking care. Ignorance, false assumption, wrong notion about oneself, mistaken identity with the body and the mind, false perception, delusional world views. They all come due to the ignorance. Unless these three factors are there, there is no spiritual progress. Do whatever you want to do. I'll tell you the naked truth. Now we may say there is a tremendous spiritual progress. Once we are alert and aware, tendencies are coming, go back. I have that level of awareness. And that is what we are working on by not only understanding, but also by the practice. And these three factors puts us into the whirlpool of human suffering because of the impurities, because of the distraction, because of our ignorance. So, if I look back into the solution, I have to reduce the identification with the body and the mind. If I don't reduce the identification with the body and mind, nothing is going to work. I have to reduce the attachment to the actions. The attachment to the actions that is full of the tendencies present in my mind of expectation. So I have to change the pattern of action, the way I perform my action. Whether I'm performing an action for my honey, for myself, for my friends or relations, or in the society. So the attitude in the mind must change. That attitude is going to calm down the mind. Three factors. First, I started that how we are suffering all the time. All the time. Every day, every hour, every minute, every second. Because the disturbances, the tendencies are always present in the mind. Who knows when I will become angry? Who knows that when I will react? So that tendency is already present in my mind. I damn care. Ah, I became angry because you are responsible. I reacted because you are responsible. I fight with you because you are responsible. So why you are fighting with me? Think. We have to think. So now see, the anger is inside me as a tendency. Now, what is the relation of that anger inside me, that is a tendency, and the action? We're going a little deeper. The mind is like a driver, and action is like the vehicle. All action springs from those tendencies present in the mind. You may hide anything. You may hide. However, you am very happy, the smile appears, and after a few seconds, that smile dissolves, disappears. And that is how I cannot. So try to keep smiling the entire hour. See if you succeed. You will not succeed. Those tendencies will change your face expression. You may hide, it cannot be hidden. That is the relationship between mind and the action. The vehicle can only go in the direction that the driver steers it. Similarly, our actions follows our mental tendencies. All our action, the way you speak and think and act. That will give you a beautiful picture that how we are suffering every day, every hour, every minute, and every second. The mind has an anger or hesitation, action manifests as harsh words. Think. With greed, it leads to selfish deeds. I have agreed. So obviously, then I have a tendency to be extremely selfish. A pure mind manifests itself as a selfless service. So we lay a great importance on this selfless service. Why? I have to purify the mind. The entire world is selfish. Forget about the world. Do you want to change? Do you want a spiritual progress? So you have to do it. Action and the tendencies in the mind. I just explained their relationship. So if the tendencies is changed to, oh, let me have a giving mode. Well, for example, let me have a giving mode of this knowledge. Let me become a contributor. Your mind changes. Your expression will change. You'll have a tremendous energy to communicate, to act. We lack that energy in the action because of our tendencies in the mind. That is extremely selfish. What is known as the art of karma yoga. We'll talk about it later. You have reduced negative emotions, increased focus, less thoughts, less distraction, reduced restlessness, ability to remain balanced. These are some of the traits of the mind which indicates the mental purity. Because if you have a tremendous focus inside, as a tendency of the mind, you can talk on any topic. And that is swayed by a constant ripples of the thoughts. That is why if the three factors are minimized, reduced, you have a deeper meditation. So on a given day, if those tendencies are not surfacing during the meditation, you experience a deeper meditation. It happens. But it doesn't mean that my tendencies have gone. I have a clear understanding and a right perspective. That is another way to purify the mind. So you see the first factor, impurity of the mind, impure desire, emotions, attachment that cloud the mind. Second is nothing but the oscillation of the mind. That is why we have a lot of thoughts. The mind's constant wavering between desires and aversion and attachment. Third is the ignorance, fundamental ignorance about the true nature of the reality. Means I do not know who am I. That is why I say I am in stress. I am in stress. No, I am not in stress. I am stress. Like, like a person may study maps diligently but still struggles to navigate the new terrain. New terrain is the purity of the mind. Likewise, with the self knowledge, we must walk the path to fully embody the wisdom. So, not only the talk, these principles, I listen, I repeat listening, followed by I contemplate, I question my behavior and attitude and the tendencies. That will open me the Pandora box which is hidden inside the mind. And once I'm able to open it, I'm able to purify it. suffering that defile the mind. Tendencies towards destructive emotions like binding desire, greed, envy, and the pride. They will settle millions and trillions of tendencies in our mind, whether it's a reaction or anger, or lust or greed, inert the mind and intellect. It makes the mind and intellect freeze because now it is freezing, so the same thoughts are being repeated. And when that repetition is the second factor, second problem, because now it is causing the hesitation, it is causing the distraction from one distraction to the other distraction. It is not buzz in the phone, it is basically the distraction in the mind that attracts me to look at the phone, to see the messages. It is nothing. Phone is by itself is inert, is a matter. No, the phone always attracts me. No, that's why Anne doesn't keep the mobile phone. Think. Three factors: impurities, distraction, and the ignorance. It is because of these three factors we are suffering every day, every hour, every minute, every second, that we do not notice when these tendencies, these coming because of these three factors, reaches to a point of maturity. I suddenly react, I suddenly become irritated. After all, there must be some cause behind it. And then I say, no, you made me angry. You made me upset. Think. I'm not saying believe, think, reflect. You will notice that these are the challenges we have. So, unless these three factors are minimized, meditation will not settle in your life. Simple. I'm not saying, masters are saying, close your eyes. Eyes are closed and understanding, moving the mind inward. Eyes are closed. Find out the best place for meditation. First, the place. Second is the body position. Position of the body. And when we find position of the body, then look at it. There is no unease in any part of the body. You see, impurity, distraction, and the ignorance. We are getting rid of all the three at a very subtle level, but it demands a regular, committed practice. Otherwise, it will not happen. So that is why I say being comfortable. So we pick up the major joints, looking at the shoulder joints being there, feeling the sensation, comfort, and steadiness, moving the mind on the hip joint, being there, feeling the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. So if you are not experiencing, by being aware of the hip joint, you don't experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. It is because of these three factors: impurity, distraction, and ignorance. Then what happens? The tendencies become more powerful than the practice. Tendencies take over your mind. That is what you have shared your experiences couple of times, almost each one. Today I had lot of thoughts. I did not say you should have lot of thoughts. Why you have it? Uncontrollable. Why? Because of these three factors. I think it makes the things clear. And now, then we say we should have a witnessing attitude by being carefree. So you separate the mind from its content. Container is tumbler and the water is the content. Same way, the water consists of many molecules of water. Oh, so many molecules in one glass full of water. So we have trillions of the thoughts and feeling and tendencies in that tumbler of the mind. So what we are saying, thoughts are coming and going like the birds flying in the sky. Do you see the sky? Nothing happens to the sky. The birds are coming from one side, they fly to the other. Do I have that level of awareness where I see these thoughts are rising and falling, appearing and disappearing in the sky of the mind, and the sky remains as it is, nothing happens to the sky. That is one of the most beautiful principles of Eastern wisdom. It is known as the witnessing attitude, but I made it simple. Be careful. But it doesn't happen that way. It happens for a few seconds, and then we are lost somewhere. We are lost in different ways that we are going to learn. So that because we get lost, so we have to purify the mind by active step. And that active step I have given you is the breathing. So looking inside the forehead in the space. So keep your focus in the space means I just want to arrest distraction. And then I start breathing quick and fast from the rib cage. Start breathing quick and fast from the rib cage, my friends, and see what happens. Continue breathing, quick and gentle breath through both the nostrils into the rib cage, and then and focus remains deep inside the forehead in the space. Mind says, I cannot do it for a long. So, what I say, you endure it, but keep on doing it. At the same time, recognize the changes because that habitual, that addictive mind related to the suffering does not want you to change the status quo. That is why we feel, oh, it's pretty difficult. Nothing is difficult. And stop it. Allow the breath to be normal and see and check. Is the mind able to keep its awareness and attention on the space? That attention to space distracts. Why it is distracted by a particular thought and emotion. So we say, okay, use this thought in a mantra with emotion. Asato ma satagamaya. Let me move from the false to the real. You emotionalize that mantra in you. So that You have the emotion pertaining to the mantra and you have a thought. Let me move from the false to what is false. That is constantly changing, has a beginning and an end. Real is not changing, not made up of the parts, cannot be seen by the sense organs, has no beginning and end. So that is the distinction we introduce in the mind. That is the meaning of asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, moving from the ignorance to wisdom. Ignorance to the knowledge. What is the ignorance? My false assumption that whatever the thought comes to my mind, I am that thought. That thought says I'm in anxiety, so I am anxiety. I'm not, I do not have anxiety, but I am anxiety. I am stress. I am fatigue. That becomes, these words becomes the noun, not the verb. It is because of the false assumption and the wrong notion. So we recognize it. Mrityurma amritangamaya, meaning from the fear, from the death to immortality. Death to the immortality. So until these three factors causes a strong identification to the body and the mind. What that means, I'm the body and the mind. So body has to die. So I have to have a fear of death. But if I'm the real self, there is no fear. So you see that what exactly is the starting point and what is the destination. That is the meaning of this mantra. The mortality to immortality, fear of the death to fearlessness. There is something in us which is totally fearless. So we have more or less saturated the mind with the mantra. So because we have changed the direction. In the beginning, because of the tendencies we do not recognize, that is why. So now looking at the head and the neck, move the mind on the skin of the head and the neck. And experience sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Move the mind on the right arm as if your mind is touching the skin of the right arm. But why I say so? I told you, in the Eastern wisdom, nothing starts with the belief, blind belief. When I say that allow the mind to touch the skin of the right arm, your mind begins the tendency to turn inward. And you experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Mind moves on the left arm. Be there. Feel the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Now, you know what happens. We all together making a journey consciously. We know. I know what I'm all giving you. You know what is you are receiving. So no means I'm conscious. So say for example, move the mind on the rib cage, you experience the sensation, relaxation and stillness, and in between some thought, some trigger, some tendency takes over you. And you forget that experience of sensation, relaxation, stillness. It is always there. But I forget because of one of these three factors or all the three factors which I explained you today. Mind goes to the belly. Be there, feel the sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Mind going to the right leg. From the right side of the waist to the toes, sensation, relaxation, and stillness. So if I experience it, I have overpowered the unknown tendencies of the mind, which results into three problems that causes me to suffer every day, every hour, every minute, every second. What do you mean by overpowering? I believe you understand. Moving the mind on the left leg. So you are into the practice 100%. That means overpowering. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. The entire body from the top of the head to the toes, entire body. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Now looking at the breath, breath is going in and out, you know it, you are aware of it. With every breath going in, mentally you drop Om Shanti. So Om is pure consciousness, like the infinite space. So when you say Om, you become aware of the infinite space. And Shanti is also like a good space. Good space means what? It has no objects. The moment I ask you, are you angry, you say yes or no. Same way, when you are saying Om Shanti, you visualize the space. Oh, I have a good space. So that good space is objectless, and then you share your experiences that yes, I'm happy today, I'm relaxed. And sometimes that good space is not there, it's a bad space, those tendencies turns into the thought process. But even if it happens, you recognize and you keep on doing it, you persist. And that is what does it mean by the consistent, regular practice changes. So in the state of sensation, relaxation and stillness in the body, the mind is living within, looking at the breath, dropping Om Shanti, Om Shanti. But Om Shanti, I explained you. Are you happy? So happy is the emotion, but the word is a thought. Om Shanti is a thought. What is that emotion? Infinite space. Why? So that the mind does not pick up any tendency and it stresses on the tendency during the practice of meditation and we do not succeed. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences now. How are you, Sophie?
I'm good, Girish, but I think I must have been suffering because I fell asleep.
That is also one more. The tendencies puts us into the inertness, and that inertness is qualified as sleep. I lose awareness. That's the simple meaning. Either I lose awareness by a constant mind is subjected by the thought process or emotion, or sleep. Good sharing. How are you, John?
Hey, Girish, I'm fine. I think I lost some awareness too.
You see that? So now you can define what is suffering, lack of awareness. Why lack of awareness? Because the mind is aware of something else which is not required. What is not required? Those tendencies.
Right.
I believe things are becoming clear. That's a good way to share that experiences. How are you, Charlie?
Hi everyone. Yeah, good. It became very clear to me this week that my mind wanders pretty much all the time. So what you were talking about in this session was spot on for what I've been thinking. It's just this constant chatter, constant.
It has become a chatterbox.
Yeah. So what I started doing this. I hope this is answering your question, but this week it's almost like it's like a barrage of just constant stuff coming up. So I've been using a mantra, just saying it all the time in my mind to just give me like a respite from the chatter, and I found it quite helpful. So that's where I am. I found today's talk very helpful.
Very good, very good. And you are doing the mantra. That is beautiful. So we can even say Om Shanti, or Shantuham, Shantuham. You just keep on saying. So what is happening? You are replacing the tendencies to emotionalize you with Om Shanti. Is it one day affair? No. It may take weeks and months. Then only we find the result. How are you, Anne? You have to unmute, yes. No.
No. Oops.
Yes.
Here we go.
I feel fine, but for some reason I think I slept through part of meditation,
Yeah.
and just I think I felt the whole day I felt very cold, and apparently that influenced me. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think about
Yeah. Yeah.
problematic thoughts or anything like that. I feel quiet.
I
But
you
for
feel.
some reason it bothers me that
Yeah.
I don't remember the meditation.
That's good. That is also a kind of half sleep and half sense of quietness. But this is a better state. How are you, Mead?
I feel good. Your clarity and your your steadiness helps me to begin to see that I can have that too.
Yeah,
I kind of have to keep coming back
it keeps
from
coming back.
my wandering.
So, because of those tendencies, and those tendencies contain the three problems and the three factors. And they translate into our behavior, means our action. Beautiful sharing. So, you have to listen to it, repeat listening, contemplation, and reflection, the way the Charlie has been reflecting on it. Everyone has to reflect that way, and then you see the result. Thank you very much. That is all for
Thank
today.
you.